certain measures that are meant to protect human health, to protect animal health, to protect plant health, as well as to protect their environment. However, the emphasis is that those measures, when they are put in place, they should be put in such a manner that they are not a disguised impediment to trade, and they should be based on scientific evidence. So one of the requirements of the SPS agreement is that each country must have what is called an SPS committee, a national SPS committee. And in Zimbabwe, in 2005, the Ministry of Industry and Commerce, which is largely the focal ministry for trade, directed the Ministry of Agriculture to establish an SPS committee. And that SPS committee should actually include basically three institutions. Firstly, the institutions that deals with food safety, both locally and in trade, which is the Codex Institute. Then it should also involve the institution which deals with animal health, that is the Veterinary Department in the Ministry of Agriculture, as well as the ministry which uses the IPPC, International Plant Protection Convention, which is also in the Ministry of Agriculture. So we also resolved in that meeting that we have an aspect that has been overlooked, which is the biosafety aspect. So we decided to come up with a fourth subcommittee, which was the biosafety subcommittee, which was to be housed by the NBA. However, the membership is not confined to these regulatory agents only, but we also have other ministries like SMEs, the Consumer Council, the academia, Ministry of Industry and Commerce itself, and we've been holding quarterly meetings in this SPS committee, whereby we appraise each other on what each subcommittee is doing in terms of the protection of human health, plant health, animal health, and also the environment. We have also notified the WTO Secretariat of our national inquiry points in the respective ministries, which are now registered with the WTO Secretariat. You can also find this information on their website. Let me then come to say that we know that when people talk about NBA, they just think of the genetically modified foods or the GMOs. But as scientists, we are very much aware that NBA is not just GMOs, but they are basically dealing with all emerging technologies that may come up, like the nanotechnologies, to make sure that our nation as a whole, as I mentioned, animal health, plant health, we are all protected from these emerging technologies. So we know that the NBA is a competent authority in this area, and we want to urge the NBA to explain these concepts. They get to understand and appreciate the importance of policy in terms of the protection of our people. It was on this basis, on the basis of the trade issues, that in 2015, the EU came up with a project on strengthening of SPS activities in Zimbabwe. And they actually approached the Ministry of Agriculture, which was the focal ministry in this case, because as you are aware, they house most of the SPS activities, which is the animal health, plant health. But the Ministry of Agriculture also realized that they were working with other regulatory agents like the NBA, the Ministry of Health. So we came together and we formed what we called a National Steering Committee, which was supposed to spearhead the implementation of this project. And the project was implemented through International Trade Center, or ITC. We had quarterly meetings to review the progress. Basically, we're looking at capacity building among those SPS regulatory agents. And one of the deliverables of this project was to purchase several pieces of equipment which were supposed to be used by all the regulatory agents in their activities in which they've got legal mandates to. The NBA, for example, they are supposed to monitor the biotechnology issues, and they also had equipment purchased for them. We also had another piece of equipment, a GC mass spec, which was purchased for government analysis laboratory in the Ministry of Health and Child Care, and another GC mass spec, which was purchased for the veterinary department. We also had sampling equipment which were purchased for our port health inspectors, and also some equipment which were purchased for our plant quarantine department. And in addition to this, there were a number of training sessions that were sponsored by this project. And we would like to extend our appreciation to the in 1999 formulated, and the mandate of this committee was to develop standards, guidelines, recommendations as a consideration, consumer preferences on the matter. Hence, it was agreed that countries may require labeling of foods derived from biotechnology in order to give consumers preferences and choices. And on this basis, in 2002, Zimbabwe stated in its food labeling regulations, that is SI 265 of 2002, that any packaged food intended for human consumption and contains GM material must be labeled so. And at that time, the technology to test for GM was not very well developed. We see today that the NBA has acquired some equipment to test for GM, presence of GM in foods, which is a very welcome development, which prompted us to then say, in accordance to internationally agreed practices, we need to qualify when a food contains GM constituents, it must be labeled so. And then to qualify that, we actually put up a threshold to say if a product is packaged and contains GM material, as long as it has more than 1% GM material, it should be labeled so. And we revised our food labeling regulation so that we achieve our goal of protecting our people, protecting our animals, protecting our environment, and protecting our plants. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. For those for Honorable Machingura, Dr. Godfrey Kandawa, whose ceremony furthermore